Ball advisor. Free agent ball carrier Ezekiel Elliott paid a visit to the Patriots today. The team met with running back Leonard Fournette earlier this week. The Vikings are reportedly open to trading a salty wide receiver Danielle Hunter, who's dissatisfied with his incumbent $4.9 million base salary this year. The Bengals, since Joe Burrow will miss a few weeks with a calf strain, are trying out two XFL quarterbacks, Reed Sinnett and Drew Plitt. Angels manager Phil Nevin will serve a one-game suspension, which he is supposedly going to take today, and will receive a fine for his belligerent temper tantrum he threw last night at the umpires. PGA Tour 3M Open. Lee Hodges is your leader at 15 under for the week. He's got a 3-shot lead through 5 holes today.
This is the My Guy Referrals Weather Center. Visit myguy.com for 5-star local referrals. Make My Guy your guy.
Saturday is shaping up to have a pretty good thunderstorm potential. We'll get to a high of 114 degrees. It'll be hot but also humid as that chance for showers and thunderstorms increases in the later afternoon and through the evening. Overnight, that temperature will fall to a low of 90 before chances return on Sunday. For the Fox 10 weather experts, I'm meteorologist Crystal Louise.
This report is sponsored by Irish Spring.
The Chalupa Supreme Beefy 5-layer burrito, crunchy taco, cinnamon twist, and medium drink. Taco Bell's $5 Cravings box is packed as ever. And $5 as ever. Get one at Taco Bell stores for limited time and also has asked. Contact store for price and participation which vary. Drinks exclude freezes. Tax extra.
Time for Arizona's only local sports gambling radio show. Take the Points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the Points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
But happy Saturday to you. Mike Bauer, Mike Gross, Jackson Groff coming to you live from the Sportsbook at Casino, Arizona. So happy to be here on a beautiful but steamy Saturday morning. Jackson, do you have a good week?
Oh, yeah, great week. A lot of college football news, which is surprising because, camp hasn't started yet, but there's already a bunch of talk, and I believe the media days have concluded. Big Ten concluded yesterday. ACC is concluding up shortly. So
a lot of hand-wringing going around the Pac-12.
Oh, my goodness. We'll talk about that, too. But, Gross, I want to toss it back to you. You're a little upset when I walked up to the show about those Diamondbacks.
I don't know if upset is the right word. Having a nice conversation with Jack from the CAZ Sportsbook here. Great guy, our host every Saturday. And we're talking about Major League Baseball trade deadline, which comes up this Tuesday afternoon here in Arizona. And look, you, Richie, and I were talking about this before we went on the air. I mean, this is a team in the Arizona Diamondbacks that had sole possession of first place for a good chunk of the first half of the season. And now all of a sudden, if the playoffs started today, this team is on the outside looking in. So, yeah, I don't know if upset is the right word, maybe more frustrated. I mean, this is a team that we watch. We like believe it or not, we like when the local teams do well.
We really do, folks. We really do.
And just to watch the D-backs struggle, and you hope that they make a move. The dominoes are starting to fall out there, in particularly in starting in relief pitching, which the Diamondbacks desperately need. So maybe frustrated, Jackson, is a better word than upset.
As one Mike Gross said a couple weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, you had the feeling that this Diamondbacks team was going to be like the Cardinals in 2020, when they tanked after having a great start and they finished the season on a losing record.
Yeah, they finished.
Right now, the D-backs are in a losing record.
Yeah. Well, they're not a loser. They're still above 500, but
I mean, like, they're half is
No, I see exactly what you're saying. I can't think of any other word than disappointing if this team fails to qualify for the playoffs, even as a wild card at this point. The problem that you have, Jackson, if you look at the standings right now, you've got your 3 teams that are in the wild card. And then there's a couple of teams kind of right there bunched up right behind that the Diamondbacks are in there with, right? You've got the Phillies, Cubs, and Giants in the playoffs.
Reds.
Sorry. Did I say the Cubs?
Yeah.
I'm pandering to all the Chicago fans out there. I meant to say the Reds. And then you got the Diamondbacks and the Marlins and the Cubs right there. So you got work cut out for you. And I think the work starts with Mike Hazen. as we said, trade deadline coming up on Tuesday. We'll get into that. As you said, Jackson, lots of college football news to get to. The season right around the corner. We do it every week. We tell you there's 28 days until August the 26th when Notre Dame and Navy kick things off in Dublin, Ireland. We'll be here at the CAZ Sportsbook, Casino, Arizona, watching those games on the big screens here as that game kicks off. And we can't wait for real football. Cannot wait, Jackson.
Cannot wait. The odds right now for Notre Dame and Navy, first game at 11:30 a.m. on NBC. Notre Dame a 20-point favorite. So come on down here at the CAZ Sportsbook and place your money on Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's the dark horse team. I think teams like them, LSU, Penn State, and Oregon State are the kind of those dark horse teams that could possibly make a run at the college football playoff. But like you mentioned, we're going to preview the Big 12 conference today because the Big 12 has been in discussion, them and the Pac-12 all week.
Oh, crazy story. Yeah, we'll look at the teams that are in the Big 12 this year, so that would include Texas and Oklahoma, but I'm sure part of our conversation around the Big 12 will talk about the future, which won't include Texas and Oklahoma, but will include the Colorado Buffaloes.
And I'm going to bring up a debate that Rock Minuch and Jimmy B had on Thursday when Bauer gets here, and I'll bring it up to you guys to see where you guys stand, but basically it was a debate between which conference is stronger, the new-looked Big 12 with Colorado in it or the Pac-12 without Colorado. And it's kind of a tough decision when you think about it, but Rock was towards the Pac-12 and Jimmy B and Minuch were towards the new-looked Big 12.
Minuch was in favor of the Big 12.
Of course.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it begins and ends with the Little Apple. Kansas State.
Yeah.
That's a good conversation. And again, the shifting landscape. And here's the thing. You've got the ACC, you've got the Pac-12, you've got the Big 12, and then you've got the SEC and Big 10 as your Power 5 right now. But I suggest that it's really turning into the Power 2. It's really turning into the Power 2 because these two big-time conferences, they decide, right? You know, you hear about, well, should ASU and U of A split up to well, whatever. But, it's survival at that point. And you are hoping, if you're on the outside looking in, a la USC and UCLA, that you get the invitation to the Big Ten or whatever the SEC may do in the future in terms of expansion. So I really feel like it's the big two, then the next three, then everybody else. That's what college football feels to me right now.
And if you're Washington, Oregon State, ASU, Arizona, in my opinion, I think you stay put because, look, right now for the college football playoff next year with the 12 team, every conference champ is in, plus at-larges. So
I don't know.
What I'm saying is because you're going to have 5 Power 5 schools.
Yeah.
USC, UCLA, and Colorado are out. That gets a more likely chance of a Washington, Oregon, or even maybe Oregon State to make the playoff.
I understand what you're saying. I don't know that I agree with him. We'll get into it. But if you're ASU and U of A, let's be honest, is the college football playoffs really a goal? Is it a goal? I mean, you can aspire to it.
Yeah.
More important goal for ASU and U of A is go to a conference that gives you the biggest payout. Honestly, I understand what you're saying. Somebody's going to win the Pac-12. Somebody's going to get a spot in the playoffs. And you're 100% right. I just have a hard time leaping to, well, geez, I'm a huge Sun Devil fan, and I'm willing to take less money to stay in the Pac-12 on the outside shot that I get that berth. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that later on in the show. Coming up, guest-wise today, really excited. We got Mike Axia from CBSSports.com. Does a great job covering Major League Baseball. We'll talk to him a little bit about the Diamondbacks. Are we overreacting out here? We'll get his opinion. Also, take a look around Major League Baseball. The trade deadline fast approaching. And good news if you're a Yankees fan. Aaron Judge called off the injured list and should be making his debut return with the Yankees coming up. And then in hour number 2, Doug Holler, longtime reporter here in the Phoenix market, now with The Athletic. And we'll talk to Doug about the Pac-12. We'll get his thoughts on ASU, U of A, where they should go as the landscape continues to shift in college football. But as we do each and every week at this time, we do our pick of the week from Ryan Sirk. And long listeners will know that Ryan started this off, Jackson, as the EPL pick of the week. They're out traveling the globe doing their friendlies, so he's transitioned over and he's doing MLS pick of the week right now. But last week he nailed it with Messi. But then in retrospect, how much credit do we really give him for saying that Messi's going to get a goal? He got
Well, were the odds plus on him getting a goal though? Wasn't it like plus 230 or something like that?
Something like that.
But yeah, no. Some of these bets, Ryan's 12-2 right now, but some of them were kind of like minus 500 or minus 1,000, which
the degree of difficulty wasn't tremendous.
Exactly. But the one last week, the fact that Messi not only got 1 goal, but he got 2 goals is pretty remarkable, and the fact that he got his first one within 8 minutes.
So his pick this week is Charlotte FC on the money line. They play a Mexican side team, Nexaca. That club lost to FC Dallas 3-0. So Ryan thinks that Charlotte FC gets it done this week. We'll keep an eye on that, let you know how Ryan Cirk, our national champion, does with his pick of the week each and every week right here on the show. And we're not that far away from our fantasy draft. You're going to keep it locked in here, and also with Rockin' Moves with Jimmy B. We'll have details on that coming up. We have a great fantasy league as part of the shows, and we have a great draft out here at the CAZ Sportsbook right when the season starts. That's where Jack a good night here at the casino doing the draft, usually late August, early September after the exhibition games are over. Buda Baker signed a new deal with the Cardinals. We'll get into that. I've got mixed feelings on that. And
really?
It has nothing to do with Buda Baker, the player, but it just has to do with giving a guy a contract, and we don't want to call it a new contract, a contract adjustment with 2 years remaining on a deal. But we'll talk about that later on in the show. But as promised, coming up after the break, we head out to the somewhere on the East Coast. I'm not sure where Mike is, but Mike Axia from Sports. We're going to talk Major League Baseball with him, trade deadline, Diamondbacks, playoff hopes, and more. That's coming up next on Fox Sports 910.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Tune in Mondays from 1 to 4 as Rockin' Manooch with Jimmy B broadcasts live from the CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. The Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona is sports fans' paradise. That's the guys live every Monday from CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona.
See your Valley Chevy dealers today during the Chevy Summer Drive going on now. New inventory is arriving daily. Don't miss your chance for some great deals this summer. See your Valley Chevy dealers for the best deals and the best selection during the Chevy Summer Drive today.
You hear it now, the lawyer adds, and I'll repeat it in this one. All personal injury attorneys are not...
It's still loud.
Sure, we all claim to do the same things, but that's where the similarities between Lerner & Rowe and all other law firms end. Lerner & Rowe was recently named the second most influential law firm in the country, and we've collected billions of dollars for our clients, with over $1 billion in the last 5 years alone. If you want real results after you've been hurt in a car wreck, call Lerner & Rowe today.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Arizona's largest locally owned A-plus BBB rated towing company is All City Towing. They're always looking to add motivated and competitive team members. Do you fit the bill? If so, head on over to
I'll call in about 30 seconds.
.com/careers for more information.
We're your neighbors. You should stop by for a visit. We're Casino, Arizona. Come on in. Our slots are spinning, our dealers are dealing, and everyone's yelling bingo. Isn't it about time you see your friends again? So stop by to say hello. Stay a while. Relax. Enjoy yourself. We'd love to see you again. Hey, this place was made to entertain. We're your Casino, Arizona.
Join Rockin' Manooch with Jimmy B Thursdays at one of the 5 Valley Twin Peaks locations. The guys broadcast live from 1 to 5 Valley locations. And tune in at 2:45 for Peaks Picks, your chance to win a Twin Peaks man card. It's Guys Live every Thursday at Twin Peaks.
Rock for WrightToyota.com. At Wright Toyota, they'd like you to get to know them. Their goal is to make buying your next vehicle the kind of experience that earns your recommendation to family and friends. They invite you to use all of their innovative web tools on WrightToyota.com. So if you're looking for a new or pre-owned Toyota, head to their interactive website at WrightToyota.com. The right price, the right selection, all at WrightToyota.com.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all
I'm
the
so mad that my app updated on my phone, so I get that stupid X logo now.
I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait!
Unlimited first-year cashback match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
Good for you, because I would have done the same and just never updated it.
And often here,
those stomach issues.
I updated it last night, and I opened the app this morning. I was like, God dang it.
Grandpa? Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
if these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at
Still referring to it on Twitter on Backspin.
yourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Like the new Kleenex.
Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
It's on its way to 115 again today here in the Valley of the Sun. Come on out to the CAZ Sportsbook. Have a drink with us. Stay cool. As promised, though, we head out to the phone lines. Welcome to the program from CBSSports.com. Major League Baseball writer Mike Axia joins us now. Mike, it's Mike, and Jackson in Phoenix. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
We're doing great. What part of the world are you checking in from today with us, Mike?
From New York.
New York.
Well, big news, I think, big news in baseball in New York City. Aaron Judge is set to make his return for the Yankees. How big of a story is that, and how much help is he going to give this team?
Well, he came back last night and he walked 3 times, and the Orioles didn't even challenge him. So that's kind of the story there. The Yankees they have not been good. The offense especially has not been good. And okay, great, you got Aaron Judge back, and he's the reigning MVP, and he was playing great before he got hurt. But why would anybody pitch to him? And we kind of saw that problem last night. But obviously, getting a player of that caliber back will help the Yankees, and it's good for baseball overall just to get this guy on the field again.
And the other end of that division, Mike, the top side, you mentioned the Orioles, playing 600-plus baseball right now. How inexplicable is that? And I think I love stories like that in Major League Baseball team that, a lot of people figured they had a nice season last year, but I don't know that anybody expected this, but really nice story for the Orioles right now.
Yeah, and then they are surprising. I think even after last year, they improved by, I think it was 31 wins last year. They improved. Some of the rotation is a little bit questionable there. I think a lot of their young guys, they're coming up on their innings limits. They're throwing more innings than they've ever thrown before. So I'm kind of curious to see what they do at the deadline, because okay, great, you're playing at 100-win pace or whatever it is, you're in first place. But what happens when you get to September and October and all your pitchers are running on fumes there? That's kind of a concern there. But obviously they're very good. Their offense and defense are really good. They're just everywhere you look, there's a young player who's really athletic, really good defensively, and that kind of set them up there. They're really in position to kind of go on a really great run these next few years.
Mike Axia, CBS Sports, joins us here on Take the Points, and I want to talk Diamondbacks, Mike, because they've been struggling recently, 3-7 their last 10 games. Is there any good news that you can give D-backs fans during this kind of struggle, losing streak that maybe D-backs fans can look forward to? Because right now, me and Gross were talking about it, they're sitting outside the wild card looking in.
Yeah, and really they've been struggling a lot longer than just 10 games, really. You go back to the middle of June, I think they're 14-24 in their last however many games. So it's been going on for a while now. And I think, yes, you're only one game out of the postseason spot. So you're a good series away from being back in there. So I wouldn't worry about that too much at the end of July. But you do want to kind of start getting things moving in the right direction here. They're kind of running into the same problem as the Orioles, where some of their young pitchers, whether it's, Henry or whoever, those guys are going to start running up on innings totals that are not, that they've never really thrown before. So what happens when you get to September and they're kind of out of gas there? So I think they're going to have to add at the deadline, even if it's not somebody to kind of put you over the hump this year. The way Mike Hazen operates is he kind of takes that long-term look. So you kind of want to get a starter who you're going to help you this year and also for another year or two or whatever many years. The model, you'd love to do another Zach Gallen trade and get a young guy like that, but that's really hard to do. But that would be the idea, getting someone you could keep for a while. Really, they just need some of the guys they have to start playing better. They need Lourdes Gurriel Jr. to start doing something, because he's been really bad for a long time now. And, Gabriel Moreno, the other part in that trade, he started really well, kind of cooled off. It'd be nice to kind of see him get a little bit more playing time and kind of get back. But it's hard for young catchers. There's a lot of wear and tear. There's a lot there. they just need some of those guys to perform a little bit better. Get some help in the rotation, get some help in the bullpen, and you just kind of hope for the best when you're running a game out.
I think it's so funny, too. Every sports league, when it comes to the trade deadline for MLB being Tuesday, you don't see a lot of action throughout, the time where they could make trades until, like, the very last hour, the very last minute. You see a bunch of trades going on. Do you kind of see that happening for the Diamondbacks, like maybe a last-second trade, or do you think they kind of hold back and don't look at anyone during the trade deadline, before the trade deadline?
No, I think you'll see something before the deadline. The way it works in baseball, I mean, nothing in this sport happens until right at the deadline, and that's the trade deadline. That's everything. Even the collective bargaining agreement when they had the lockout 2 years ago, it wasn't until the threat of games. You had the threat of games being lost. They really kind of sat down and figured things out. So I would expect something. Maybe not until right up to the deadline, just because that's the way the sport works. They wait till the last second for everything.
We're talking Major League Baseball with Mike Axia from CBSSports.com. Trade deadline coming up on Tuesday. And what is the market out there for some of these pitchers, right? Because you mentioned the Diamondbacks need help. The Dodgers already went out and got a couple of guys from the White Sox. So if you're a team, I grew up in Detroit, and let's look at the Tigers. They've got Eduardo Rodriguez. They've got Mike Lorenzen. Like, if you're in the front office in Detroit, do you just sit back and you just wait until somebody gives you a deal that you just can't pass up and let these teams compete against each other?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we've already seen it with the Lucas Giolito trade, even the David Robertson trade with the Mets. I mean, those are pretty good returns. I mean, certainly better than what we've seen the last few deadlines. They got some pretty good prospects there, and it's a seller's market because there's just so many teams in the race right now that nobody really wants to sell, and the teams that are definitely going to sell, the Athletics, the Royals, teams like that, they really don't have much to offer. So if you're willing to trade a pitcher, whether it's Giolito or whoever, I mean, you're going to get a pretty nice return. And, the rentals are, I mean, like a Jordan Montgomery, yes, he would make the Diamondbacks better, but are you going to re-sign him long-term after the season? No, probably not. If you have somebody with multiple years of control, if it's like Dylan Cease or Mitch Keller at the Pirates, you're in position to like really kind of cash in there big. And, if you've got a front office that doesn't like really kind of trading away prospects, kind of really putting a dent in your system, you're going to have a hard time making a deal this deadline, just because it's supply and demand. The demand is incredible right now, and there's very little supply. So if you want to get a starting pitcher, it's going to hurt.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, we're contractually obligated to ask you what is the future for Shohei Ohtani. I mean, I think it's, every time we have a baseball conversation anywhere between now and Tuesday, everybody's going to have to ask that question. Your gut feel, what happens with the Angels?
I think it seems like the favorite is the Dodgers going to be after the season. And I mean, I really don't know. I think if the Angels get to the postseason this year, I really think they got a chance to re-sign him in that case. He loves it there. They're going to put the full court press on there and try to re-sign him. Obviously, they're not going to keep him at the deadline and then just kind of bow out at the end of the season. So if they get to the postseason, they'll have a chance. But I feel like the Dodgers are just not going to be denied. It looks like they've just tailored their roster and their payroll situation so that they could just throw all the money at him and it'll work. And I mean, I really don't know, but I feel like the Dodgers and the Mariners, the Seattle supposedly really wants him bad. They tried to sign him when he first came over from Japan. Can't rule out the Mets you can't rule out the Mets and the Yankees, but if he truly prefers the West Coast, the Dodgers got to be the favorite for me.
Yeah, as if Diamondback fans here needed any other reason to dislike the Los Angeles Dodgers, that would absolutely do it. But like I said, I appreciate that. Like I said, we are contractually obligated. Baseball conversations between now and Tuesday have to ask that question. Hey, real quickly as we wrap up, Mike, your thoughts. I think there's two really glaring examples of teams that spend a ton, and it just is a disaster. Obviously, the Mets back where you are, and out here we've got the Padres. Is this are the owners going to change, or can they not help themselves? And they're going to look at these as kind of aberrations in terms of what happened with the big spending there.
Yeah, I think it's an aberration more than anything because Steve Cohen with the Mets. I mean, the money is not really an issue there, so I don't think that's going to change the way they operate there. The Padres, it's a little more difficult because they're not a traditional big market, but they're kind of showing that, look, if you're not a big market, you can still spend. The ballpark is packed every single night. That's not really an issue for them. So I don't know. It seems like whenever something like this happens, like a big market, like a team spends a lot of money and they don't win, everybody says, see, look, spending is bad. But then you look, the Washington Nationals spent a ton of money, won the World Series. The Red Sox had the highest payroll in baseball by like $40 million when they won the World Series. The Astros are near the top every year. The Dodgers as well. There's a pretty strong correlation between spending money and being good. It's not a guarantee, but the trend line is pretty obvious there. I think the Mets and the Padres this year, I think they're really just kind of outliers there. But, with the way it is with baseball, the owners and MLB are going to look at it and say, no, this is bad. We need a salary cap. We can't do this. And that's just what it is.
Yeah, and it's funny listening to the owners, right? Because on the one hand, they're like, oh, this isn't sustainable. But on the other hand, they're the ones writing the checks and handing out the money. So it's an interesting conversation to hear them kind of argue with themselves in this. Like, hey, Mike, this was good stuff. We appreciate your time, and let's do it again somewhere down the stretch.
Thanks, Mike.
Sure, happy to come on.
Mike Axia from CBSSports.com, and interesting stuff here as the trade deadline approaches, and you sit back and look, guys. The price for pitching goes up and up and up. Because there's so many teams in contention, and so many. And I thought Mike made a great point. I didn't even think of this. And Bauer, you're in the stadium every night. You've got pitchers right now on a lot of these teams, the Orioles, the Diamondbacks, that have never pitched this many innings. And at some point, one of two things is going to happen. They're going to shut them down because they're at innings caps, or they're just going to get tired and not be as effective as they were in May and June. So it really does. If you're in a race, it puts a premium on getting arms right now.
If you look at the Arizona Diamondbacks, let's just look at the D-backs, local 9. If you look at the Diamondbacks and you look at, who's your best pitcher? Pretty easy answer, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Gallen. He's never pitched 200 innings in his career. The most he's ever pitched is 184 last year. He's at 136 right now. So if you look at, and that's the guy, and he's been healthy all season long, unlike a Merrill Kelly who missed some time, just came back, had a great start the other day. But if you look at that situation, you go, it's not even necessarily the young guys. It is the undisputed ace of this staff, the guy who started the All-Star game in his career. He's in, what it is, 6th season in the bigs. In his career, he has at most 12-4. That was last year. That's the most that he's. Other than that, you look at the course of his career, what he's done, and he's done a lot. And I'm just saying, you think of him as the veteran on this team, not the Tommy Henry, not the Ryan Nelson, not the Kyle Nelson. You look at him as the veteran, and you go, wow, this guy actually hasn't even pitched 200 innings before. He's 184 is his max. 136 is where he is right now.
Yeah. No,
so it's not even just the quote unquote young bucks or the prospects that are now pitching for the first time into this. Last year, 200 1/3 was Merrill Kelly. That was his career high. Yeah. He's obviously going to not get there this year at 101, but even the older veterans on this team, if you will, just here with the D-backs, and this is the same way with a handful of other teams too. Yeah. But they haven't even pitched this much before.
No, it's going to be interesting to see, and it's part of the calculus if you're in the front office of a team that thinks you're going to compete into the postseason, and maybe why you look at the Dodgers and White Sox. Well, what do you want Lance Lynn for? You need somebody that can eat innings at some point, and it'll be, like I said, fascinating to see what happens between now and Tuesday. We'll step aside here. More to come on the other side. Fox Sports 9.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Tune in Mondays from 1 to 4 as Rockin' Minuch with Jimmy B broadcasts live from the CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. The Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona is sports fans' paradise. That's the guys live every Monday from CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona.
Any car dealer in Arizona can compete on price. That's what dealers do. But not many dealers can compete on customer satisfaction. Like Wright Toyota. Make the right choice. Wright Toyota in Scottsdale, just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard, and online at WrightToyota.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks is always adding exciting cocktails to the menu, like the expertly balanced Sincoro Hall of Fame Margarita. Try it at your local lodge today.
Are you living paycheck to paycheck only to find yourself going backwards financially each month? Nobody wants to file bankruptcy, but at many times, it's the best choice. The credit industry wants you to believe that bankruptcy is bad and that it will destroy your credit forever, but that's just not true. In most cases, filing bankruptcy can improve your credit. At Lerner Rowe Law Group, our bankruptcy lawyers only work on bankruptcy cases, and we can file your bankruptcy with $0 down.
Lerner Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
It's the wind down in sparkling water. It's the zone out at the spa. The stunning sunsets at dinner. It's the escape you crave, and it's closer than you think. Talking Stick Resort's summer playcation package, starting at $139 a night with no resort fee for Arizona residents. Exclusive spa specials and $25 in free slot play. Plus, enjoy great deals inside the Talking Stick Entertainment District, including Top Golf, Talking Stick Golf Club, Octane Raceway, and more. Summer playcation, May 8th to September 15th at Talking Stick Resort. Turn it on.
See your Valley Chevy dealers today during the Chevy Summer Drive going on now. New inventory is arriving daily. Don't miss your chance for some great deals this summer. See your Valley Chevy dealers for the best deals and the best selection during the Chevy Summer Drive today.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Small commitment at least one day a week helps reduce ground-level ozone pollution and helps us all breathe easier. Avoid idling, turn off your engine when waiting in pickup lines and drive-thrus. Commit to one day and help keep ozone away. Visit maricopa.gov/AQ to learn how you can help.
Introducing new frozen lemonade Starbucks Refreshers beverages. Try one of 3 blends of sweet fruit flavors, real fruit pieces, and lemonade to savor every sip of summer. Order yours in the Starbucks app.
Only iHeartRadio gives you access to all of your favorite radio stations.
The Rod Ryan Show.
It's the Woody Show.
It's Elliot in the morning.
All of the once-in-a-lifetime events.
Music Festival, yeah!
All of the best free curated playlists, the best bands, all the great podcasts for every interest. The stuff they don't want you to know. All of the mind-blowing contests.
$20,000.
All your favorite superstars.
This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters.
Best of all, it doesn't cost a thing. Download the absolutely free iHeartRadio app now.
Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 10.
Thanks again to Mike Axia for joining us in our last segment. It's going to be an interesting time as we approach the Major League Baseball trade deadline. We'll get into that a little bit later on. We got Doug Haller coming up later on the show. We might get to that with him. But, guys, big news, big news this week. College football conference realignment continues. Before we do that, our Twitter poll question of the day, because there is real football being played, and it is a full Pac-12 this year. We asked 2 questions.
Oh, I thought you were going to make like a soccer reference.
No.
Oh, there's real football being played.
No. Real football played in the Pac-12 before we worry about their demise this year. We asked the question, both Arizona and Arizona State sit right now with their over-under win totals at 4.5. So we asked the question for each school, what do you think happens? Very simple question. Over 4.5 or under 4.5? And we'll get our answers later on the show. Right now, our listeners for the University of Arizona, they're leaning towards Jackson's way of thinking by a 55-45 margin that they're going to go over.
Smart people.
4.5, Jackson.
Very smart people who voted there over in Tucson.
Even smarter people, the people who hammered the under. Go Devils.
If you think that those people are smart, what do you think of the 64% of our voters think that Arizona State will go over 4.5 wins?
See, now that's just stupid.
Wow.
I'm just being honest.
I guess I'm stupid, Jackson. You just called me and all the loyal Sun Devils stupid.
Well, isn't there a difference, though? Because I used to have this with Bertram Berry and I when he used to do the show, and it used to make him so crazy when you would put a gambling conversation over his Notre Dame football team. Like, because when you are a passionate fan, sometimes the logistics, the thought process behind wagering is out the window. Like, if you say anything like, however you would upset somebody about that 4.5 win total like Jackson just did. Like, if you're a passionate fan, you sometimes take these things personally.
Yeah, if you're a passionate fan, you can take it personally. And I joke with Jackson about that. If I was walking up to the windows here at Casino Arizona Sportsbook, I would probably put money on the under.
Probably so.
But I would never say that on the radio because go Devils, woo, ASU.
If you're watching us on Twitter,
I'd probably play the under.
If you're watching us on Twitter, you could see that I wasn't sure that it was a joke, so I'm in between the two. And I was wondering if I would have to break them up on air. So that's the subtext of where we head into this, right, guys? So we've got the 2023 football season coming up. You'll have USC, you'll have UCLA in the mix, you'll have Colorado in the mix. But after that, the Pac-12 is just all askew right now. With Pac-12 was notified this week that Colorado will be moving back to the Big 12, a place where they spent 60, 70 some years before joining the Pac-12. And now the question is, do you try to maintain this conference? Do you try to hold it together? Do you maybe add a San Diego State? Do you add an SMU? Or if you're Arizona, you're Arizona State, you're Utah, do you look at the Big 12 and say, take me, please, take me? If you're Oregon and Washington, do you wait and hope that the Big 10 invites you? It's really an interesting time, and I think the inactivity from the commissioner's office as it relates to the media rights deal is really driving a lot of the speculation.
Before we talk about any schools, any conferences, I want to ask you guys this. Is this a discussion outside of football? Or is football such the powerhouse that this is just a football decision? Because there's a team down south in Tucson that is not a football powerhouse traditionally, but if you add an Arizona Wildcats to the Big 12, dear goodness, that is the best basketball conference in the country. But forget the names of the schools and all that. Is this just a football conversation because of how big of a revenue generator and how big football as a sport is?
No.
I think it is.
It's not. It's absolutely not solely a football question. Football might be out in front of it. But if you look at the Big Ten deal with Peacock, right? Everybody's like, oh, cool, we're getting a Saturday night game every week on Peacock from the Big Ten football. Peacock has rights to 55 Big Ten basketball games that is part of this deal. And to your point,
there's some good basketball.
The Big Ten is good. I would say that the Big 12 is probably better in basketball.
Especially if you add in Arizona. Apologies to Colorado. I think they might have. I mean, Sad Boyle's been the coach there for a long time. I did call him Sad Boyle.
Well, look, so football is going to drive this, Jackson, but it is more than a football discussion.
Yeah, for me, with this whole Pac-12 discussion, I think the Pac-12 is fine. You talked about how much Dion plays in the factor. If Dion wasn't here and Colorado left the Big 12, we would not have this discussion about the Pac-12 being in jeopardy if Dion wasn't there.
Totally disagree with that, too.
Why?
Because Dion, what has Dion done, and what's he got?
Hasn't coached a game at Colorado yet.
Colorado, since they joined the Pac-12, has been 48-94. They've only made 2 bowl games. In reference to other schools, Colorado State has made more bowl games. Air Force has made more. Miami, Ohio, Tulsa have all made more.
They're in conferences where you can stack wins against bad teams and just make a bowl. I mean, making a bowl game is not the bellwether of a successful program.
But you guys know this, and I've said this.
Or not the sole bellwether. I'm sorry.
Since Colorado joined the Pac-12, what have they added to the Pac-12? What if you take Dion out for a second? I know where you're going with this, Jackson. Just take Dion out of this for a second.
I'm ready for this because I'm ready. I already have my counterpoint.
Give me your quick elevator speech, a 30-second elevator. What has Colorado brought to the Pac-12?
Okay, I'm going to answer your question with another question. I'm ready to go and counter this. First off, I'll answer it. Nothing. Colorado's brought nothing to the conference at all whatsoever. They're boring. They're uninteresting. They are not a factor at championship level in almost every situation. Let me ask you this. Colorado leaves. What are the potential options for the conference to replace that spot, and are any of them better than Colorado?
Yes.
Which? Who would be better as an addition than Colorado? Because right now there is, let's say that if we're moving pieces around on the chessboard, there's now a vacancy. If you're going to fill that Colorado spot, you would hope to do it with somebody better than Colorado. And who's that going to be?
Colorado State.
Well, I was going to say, you could argue.
Seriously, all you lost with Colorado is the Denver market. That's all you lost.
Did you really?
Well, the Denver market doesn't even pay attention to Colorado.
Well, no, but I'm just saying.
That's why I said, did you really?
Yeah. at
That's
the
a
margin.
Broncos market.
No,
That's
no,
when
right.
they're winning
It is
championships, an
absolutely
Avs market.
it is
The
absolutely a
Nuggets
pro
just won.
sports
It's
market,
a pro
but
sports market.
but you don't have it anymore to offer. So if that's important, you just put Colorado State in, and it's practically a wash. It's practically a wash.
Well, you could
Denver-
argue San Diego
Denver-
State would even be a better program than what Colorado football and basketball wise.
But San Diego State is, at least to me, is earmarked for one of the LA schools. Like that's already that's a foregone conclusion. You're looking at San Diego State, maybe an SMU, which gives you a little bit. It gives you 12 eyeballs in the Metroplex. That's it. Nobody cares about SMU in Dallas Fort Worth. They have much better, bigger, or pro schools or pro teams that they care about. But look, if you lose Colorado, you at least lose a large institution with history that can still grab eyeballs every once in a while. You are going to replace Colorado in this conference with what? Tulane, Colorado State, UNLV? No, I mean, I understand what you're saying is that Colorado has not brought anything to this conference, but none of these other options bring anywhere near what Colorado brought.
And going back to Jackson's point, which I think is being brought up an awful lot this week, is the Deion Sanders influence, right? You know, that we've talked more about Colorado since Deion was hired than we probably did in the last 3-4 years combined.
Still hasn't
except to
coached a game.
say, right, exactly. Except to say, you know, every time we came out, like, who's Colorado losing to today? I mean, that was pretty much the conversation.
That
have suffered a lot the last couple of years. Guess what? You beat Colorado every year,
That's
right?
true.
So, Jackson, I think you make a good point, but how do you quantify that in a TV rights deal?
Yeah, and I think this Colorado move wakes up Klinikoff to make something happen
Lord.
even
Why
sooner.
is he asleep?
Sooner than what he expected. But what I mean by this is I think the Pac-12 is fine, but I also think Colorado in the situation, it's smart form. You're going to draw more recruits out of Texas. You're going to get more eyes on your program than you already had before. It's a smart move for the Colorado standpoint. I just think this conference, everyone needs to relax. You still got Oregon. You still got Washington. You still got, Arizona State, Oregon State, all those schools.
For now.
Relax. Figure it out. I just don't see – people are assuming, Washington, Oregon are going to go to the Big Ten. I don't Big Ten's got 16 teams. I don't see them picking up any more teams.
I agree with you on that point that the Big Ten will take Oregon and Washington when the Big Ten is ready to take Oregon and Washington, right? They're not going to take them because Oregon and Washington are worried about the Pac-12. If they go to the Big Ten, will be decided by the Big Ten, not Oregon and Washington. So you're right about that. And if you don't get offered a spot in that conference, what do you do if you're those two schools, right? And the other thing that's happening here, and I can't remember if we said this on the air, Jackson, or when we were getting ready to come on the air, what's happening with the landscape guys of college football is you're going from the Power 5 to really the Power 2. You've got the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yes.
And then you've got the next level where you could put the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12, and then everybody else. Yeah. That's really what college football is right now, because SEC and the Big Ten are not sitting there wringing their hands around, oh my gosh, look at all this movement around here. Like, they don't care. They absolutely do not care. And the other thing that I think is overblown as part of these conversations is the market in which a team happens to reside.
Yes.
What is Tuscaloosa's TV market size relative to Los Angeles? What is Columbus, Ohio relative to Los Angeles, right? What is Norman, Oklahoma? Some of these big schools that are in the middle of nowhere.
So on the flip side of that, in terms of the market, let's say that the market is super important. Why is it important? It's important for a TV rights deal. Cool. That's not like it's anything the Pac-12 is doing anyway. It's not like the Pac-12 is parlaying Denver into a TV rights deal. They don't have one right now.
They got Seattle right now.
They're
They had Los Angeles. They have San Francisco. They have Phoenix. They're so far behind.
I'm just saying, look, it's not like the Pac-12 came to the table and was swinging Denver around going, hey, we got Denver. Let's get a deal. Yeah, they don't have a deal in place. They didn't have a deal with Colorado. They're not going to have a great deal without Colorado. The Pac-12 is failing its constituents, its fans at pretty much every turn. And if you look at the Big 12, which now has 300 teams, just like the other Big 10 as well, like, forget the fact that they can't do math. You look at the Big 12, yep. I think, and this is why I started off asking, is this just a football conversation? Because that in Colorado, in pretty much any sport, isn't really that sexy. But if they were to add the Arizona Wildcats and one of the best, most storied, most powerful basketball programs, in addition to softball and baseball and some of the track and field sports that they're very, very accomplished at in Tucson, that is a great addition for the Big 12, as would ASU. Either of the Arizona schools would be a great addition. But really, if you add Arizona, this is the best basketball conference in the country.
And also on the docket for the Big 12 supposedly is UConn. Could you imagine if you added UConn and Arizona from a basketball standpoint? That's crazy. We'll step aside here. More to come on the other side. Fox Sports 910.
Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app. This is The Odd Couple with Chris Broussard and Rob Parker.
This is why the NCAA is still a joke to me. It's all fraudulent and phony. If you really want to cut down this stuff, Chris, and is serious enough to suspend the coach for 4 games, make it 4 conference games, not your preseason schedule that they count as a regular season.
With Chris Broussard and Rob Parker. Monday at 4 on your smart speaker. Say play Fox Sports 910.
Join Rockin' Manooch with Jimmy B Thursdays at one of the 5 Valley Twin Peaks locations. The guys broadcast live from 1 to 5 Valley locations. And tune in at 2:45 for Peaks Picks, your chance to win a Twin Peaks man card. It's Guys Live every Thursday at Twin Peaks.
Arizona's headquarters for Toyotas is Wright Toyota. Hey, Rock, for my friends at Wright Toyota in Scottsdale. You will always find the right deal at Wright Toyota. Wright Toyota has been driving Arizona's home for years with their amazing service, pricing, and great selections. I encourage you to discover the difference at Wright Toyota. Make the right choice, Wright Toyota, just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard, and always online at WrightToyota.com. The right price, the right selection. Check out WrightToyota.com.
We're your neighbors. You should stop by for a visit. We're Casino, Arizona. Come on in. Our slots are spinning, our dealers are dealing, and everyone's yelling bingo. Isn't it about time you see your friends again? So stop by to say hello. Stay a while. Relax. Enjoy yourself. We'd love to see you again. Hey, this place was made to entertain. We're your Casino, Arizona.
Golfers, swing into Van's Golf Shops. We've been serving golfers since 1963. Let us help you find the hottest gear from bags, balls, shoes, and apparel. All in stock at the best prices. Come in and test drive the latest arrivals from Titleist, TaylorMade, Callaway, Ping, and more. While you're there, get custom fit by one of our golf experts. Van's Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Shop us in store or online at vansgolfshops.com.
What's up, guys? Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, #SexyRoofStatus. All of our work using state-of-the-art materials and 5-star workmanship. Our inspections are free. You heard me? Free. Go to state48roofing.com to schedule your free appointment today.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late-night bites.
See your Valley Chevy dealers today during the Chevy Summer Drive going on now. New inventory is arriving daily. Don't miss your chance for some great deals this summer. See your Valley Chevy dealers for the best deals and the best selection during the Chevy Summer Drive today.
Tune in Mondays from 1 to 4 as Rockin' Manooch with Jimmy B broadcasts live from the CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. The Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona is sports fans' paradise. That's the guys live every Monday from CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now.
Isn't it hard to make money with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy when you fill up at stations like Circle K.
Wait, are you saying money back when you get sign up?
Yes. cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas from participating stations like Circle K. Use promo code 2023 for an extra 50 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code 2023 for a 50 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code 2023.
Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook.
Jackson, I'm going to come through the radio and slap you right now.
Exclusively on Fox Sports 9.
Mic off for him.
Be nice to Rich. Welcome back. Be nice to Rich. Take the points. We're all one family. We're a team. We're a team here. Hey, coming up in right after the top of the hour, look forward to catch up with Doug Holler from The Athletic. We're going to talk to him about Major League Baseball trade deadline, maybe. Maybe we'll talk to him about the Pac-12. Lots to get to today. Sports smorgasbord.
And we probably should talk football with the football guy. I mean,
Yeah, but there's so much.
If you really want to talk baseball with him, I guess. But
Baseball on the brain, and we're going to do that right now as Jackson tracks every week for us our Diamondbacks odds as wow. What is the number down to, Jackson? Hurt our feelings right now.
So I just
Diamondbacks to win the West.
I want everyone
great
to
value.
know.
There's going to be great value here.
On July 7th, the D-backs odds to win the NL West was the lowest at plus 440. Well, I hate to break it to you folks. 22 days later, the Diamondbacks sits at plus 2,100 to win the NL West.
Value compared to that.
bad.
Look at that.
That's bad. All right.
Well,
how about our
well,
give us
the
good
team
news
hasn't
on the
been good
award
since
winners?
then.
Award winners.
Okay, well, Cy Young, Gallen is still the favorite at plus 240. And then for Corbin Carroll, NL Rookie of the Year, minus 2,000.
What was he? What was he a couple weeks ago?
Last week, Corbin Carroll was minus 750, and Gallen was plus 240. So his odds have stayed.
Trending in the wrong direction. Power, you're in the stadium regularly.
Yeah, that was a bummer last night.
Just not last night. What's the vibe? Because I remember when this baseball season started, right?
Yeah.
We did our win totals, right? Diamondbacks, what was it, guys? 79 to 81, 82, right in that range, depending on where you got them, what you looked at. And then they exceeded expectations out of the gate. I mean, they had sole possession of first place in the National League West for a good stretch. And obviously, we know they've fallen on hard times lately. What is the vibe around this team? What is the vibe in the stadium these days?
I have a lot of people asking me who the D-backs are going to get at the trade deadline. I think that there's a lot of fans. Last night, I had that conversation with individuals probably half a dozen times, if not more. People going, hey, I'm seeing other teams. Like the Dodgers just got Lance Lynn. Like, are we going to make a move?
What did you say?
Well, I said we'll find out. And then I show them a picture on my phone, which I'll pull up and say, this is great radio, by the way. But I show him a picture and I go, hey, I walked by this, there's a conference room. I walked by on the hallway. There's a sign up. And so, I mean, there's stuff going on. There's people in there. I can hear whispering behind the doors. What does the sign on the door say?
The 2023 trade deadline meetings in progress. Please do not enter.
I did not enter. I did not enter. I'd like to
Power, for the love of all that is good in our radio show, next time you walk by this door and this sign is on the door, just be oblivious and just accidentally stumble in there. Do it.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. Don't mind me. I'll just sit here in the corner and listen because I would love to know what's going on. It's just, I get it. This is not a big market team. You've got to be careful. You've got to mind your pennies. I get it. But I think the fans deserve something here after struggling for so long. I know, look, Mike Hazen is a wonderful general manager. But I cannot hear untouchable when it talks to anybody in the system if it means getting an arm that can help them right now. I can't.
I think there are a handful of really good options out there in terms of adding an arm, but you've also seen the market really set in terms of what it's going to take to go out and acquire an arm, and it's going to be you've seen top prospects. Top prospects have been on the move in this situation right now, just in terms of. Hey, if you're going to go out and you're going to be a buyer at the deadline, you kind of you say, hey, look, if you're asking, I want your top 3 prospects or 2 of your top 5, you want that that value there. And for the Arizona Diamondbacks, that means that there's going to be some players, whether it's Ivan Melendez that is possibly on the move, whether it's, maybe even a guy up at the major league level.
Right.
In terms of it, is it a Josh Rojas? Is it a McCarthy? Is it an Alec Thomas, that now a major league level talent is part of any deal to acquire? For the Diamondbacks, I think overwhelmingly the laundry list, the wish list would be pitchers. So if you're going to acquire a pitcher, that's where you're looking.
And I think Jackson Ray asked a really good question of Mike Axia earlier when we had him on from CBS Sports. And I'll ask you, Bauer, if it's all right, Jackson.
Yeah, of course.
Which is, if you're a team like the Diamondbacks and you're kind of at a disadvantage financially when you look around the landscape of Major League Baseball. In other words, you're never going to compete financially with a team like the Dodgers. Doesn't that mean you need to get out in front of some of these deals as they're happening? Because it's not a surprise today when you say they need relief pitching, starting pitching help, right? But we knew that 2 weeks ago. We knew that maybe a month ago. So why not get out in front of it? Maybe you can strike a better deal and address a need, but get it at a better deal than you're going to get because I asked Mike about Eduardo Rodriguez at Detroit. If you're the general manager in Detroit, you're sitting back there with like one of them whiteboards, and you're like bidding because that guy's going to go someplace, and the longer you wait, the higher the price goes. Why wait?
Yeah, well, you wait because the thinking is the longer you wait, that the more people are going to either not necessarily get desperate, but there's going to be more of a sense of urgency to make an addition. Once you see those first dominoes fall, and whether it really it was Lucas Giolito, Reynaldo Lopez from the White Sox, to the Angels and the Halos with that trade telling everybody we're not moving Shohei. That's what they said with that trade. They said, we're not moving Shohei, but in order for them to bring in a Lucas Giolito and a Reynaldo Lopez, they traded their second and third best prospects for two pitchers who are free agents at the end of the season. So for rental players. Sure. So in order to bring in a couple rental arms, it costs you prospect 2 and 3. So if you're a general manager, that's what you're waiting for. You're waiting deadline spur action.
Yeah.
And that's what you see. And that's the reason why you see a flurry of trades so far in the last few days, but really in the upcoming few days before the deadline.
Covering a lot of territory here in the first hour. Just getting started. We're going to take care of some top of the hour business. On the other side, we'll kick it off with Doug Hallett from The Athletic. As much as I want to ask him about baseball because it's on our brain, we'll probably stick to football.
Yes.
Might sneak one in there anyway.
Yes.
He tweets occasionally about baseball.
Yes.
I got that and more coming up in hour number 2 right here on Fox Sports 910.
What are you doing for dinner tonight? Venezia's Pizzeria has a summer of savings deal you don't want to miss. Get an extra large one-item pizza for $13.99. That's more than a 17% savings. Yes, an extra large one-item pizza for only $13.99. Order online, with the app, or when you visit any one of our 6 Valley locations. Just use the code SOS when you order. Available for dine-in, to-go, and even delivery. Order now. Venezias.com. Limit of 5 per order.
Rock for RightToyota.com. At Right Toyota, they'd like you to get to know them. Their goal is to make buying your next vehicle the kind of experience that earns your recommendation to family and friends. They invite you to use all of their innovative web tools on RightToyota.com. So if you're looking for a new or pre-owned Toyota, head to their interactive website at RightToyota.com. The right price, the right selection, all at RightToyota.com.
Packing for your summer road trip? Leave the travel guide at home and bring the Autio app along for the ride. Autio brings any drive to life with fascinating stories about the places you go, all narrated by expert storytellers. Browse through Autio's more than 10,000 fascinating location-based tales to inspire your travel itinerary and discover unique destinations along the way.
Can you put Doug Holler's contact in the doc, please?
Adventure with Autio, the perfect companion for your next road trip. Learn more at AUTIO.com.
I'm Byron Brown, the anti-lawyer lawyer. When it comes to your personal injury case, I'm straight to the point. I'll answer your call, no BS.
Byron Brown, the anti-lawyer lawyer.
Keeping your kids safe is a full-time job. Whether it's putting on outlet covers, installing child gates, or gluing down your priceless face. So Duracell made one part of childproofing simple. Our lithium coin batteries are the only ones coated in a non-toxic bitterant to help discourage swallowing. Your kid is safer, and you've got one less thing to worry about. Or glue down. Duracell, engineered for more. Available in 2032, 2025, and 2016 sizes.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd, Monday from 10 to 1. This is KGMA Phoenix, KESC HD2 Phoenix, an iHeartRadio station. To find FS1 on your television, go to foxsports.com for details. FS1. The Herd with Colin Cowherd, Monday from 10 to 1. We are and here's what you need to know.
NFL journeyman running back Frank Gore has a new opportunity. He's going to be moving into the 49ers front office as a football advisor. Free agent ball carrier Ezekiel Elliott still looking for a job. He paid a visit to the Patriots, and this was made possible, according to ESPN, because New England head coach Bill Belichick actually asked directly to speak with Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones about Elliott and his background, and as far as his personality and what he could bring and his experiences with him. So that conversation is what convinced Elliott to come to the Patriots, at least for a visit, according to reports. No deal, though, has been done yet in regards to Elliott, who is just about 28 years old and has been a Pro Bowl player. Meanwhile, Angels manager Phil Nevin will serve a one-game suspension and receive a fine for his emotional outburst last night directed at umpires. I'm Brian.
This is the Parker & Sons Weather Center. For all your AC, plumbing, and electric needs, call Parker.
As we head into our Saturday, the forecast high 114 degrees, hot but humid as the chance for storms increases in the late afternoon and evening. Those storms will spread through the valley, drying out for your Sunday morning with a low of 90 degrees, an afternoon of 111, and again, a chance for showers or storms.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Discover credit cards do something pretty awesome. At the end of your first year, they automatically double all the cash back you've earned. That's right, everything you earned doubled. The cash back from trips, restaurants, all doubled. Seriously, though, see terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Time for Arizona's only local sports gambling radio show. Take the Points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the Points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back. Hour number 2. We're out here at the CAZ Sportsbook, Casino, Arizona. Got some baseball on the TVs, and we're just counting down the days, fellas, till football gets here. We already said it, hour number 1, but 28 days until August 26th. And why is that important, you ask? That is when Notre Dame and Navy play real football from Dublin, Ireland, and we'll have it here on at the Sportsbook. And from there, it'll be a straight shot all the way through to the end of college football season and the NFL. So we can't wait 26 days until that starts. But to help us get in the frame of mind to talk football from The Athletic is our good friend Doug Holler. Joins us now. Doug, it's Mike, and Jackson. How are you today?
Hey, guys. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for making some time for us. And, Doug, Cardinals go into training camp with, I would say, limited expectations for the most part. But, this Buda Baker story was one of the things that was lingering out there, right? And what are you going to do with Buda, kind of the face of the franchise on the field, the heart and soul in the locker room? Your breakdown of them, I don't even want to call it a new deal. They modified the deal. They gave him some money up front. Buda has a smile. The Cardinals took care of some business. Your assessment of that deal?
Well, I think the Cardinals needed to do it. I mean, you're right. The word that you use, limited, as far as expectations go, that's probably being a little bit generous. But they needed Buda out there, especially with Kyler Murray on the physically unable to perform list. They needed Buda. He's the heart and soul of the team. So for Monty Ossenfort, who has really done a really good job for his first year as a GM, to get that done right before camp and to get him on the field, it's the first victory I think the Cardinals have had. The draft, I think, went really well. But that was more toward the future. I think it's the first victory that they've had going into this season because he really adds a lot. If you're just out there standing on the sideline, the crowd is yelling, chanting Buddha's name, and you really can't start a rebuild. You really can't start a new era for the Cardinals without that guy. And to get him back on the field, and he was asked if he was happy with the deal, and he kind of danced around it a little bit. He kept referring to it as outside noise, which was interesting considering he was the one that kind of created all this in the first place. But the fact that the Cardinals team got it done, that there was a mutual agreement, I think it's a huge boost for the organization.
Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons, a year ago were both linebackers, and now this year with Jonathan Gannon, they'll be both playing different positions. What kind of, have you seen or been impressed by Zaven Collins at the defensive end, and then for Isaiah Simmons playing that deep safety?
Zaven, it's hard to say because, without pads on, you really don't know. I think the best thing about it is that he's willing to do it. He's a powerful guy. So I think there's some explosion there. So I think there's some potential for him there. But even, DJ Humphries, the tackle, was asked, well, what have you seen from him across the line of scrimmage? And he said, you really can't tell yet. It's been too early. So we'll have to wait and see if that's where he stays, if that's the right fit for him. But I do think that he has some skills, and physically he fits the part. Isaiah Simmons, he's made plays in the past that kind of make you think well, maybe he's going to find something here and be the guy that kind of, proves that he was worth where he went in the draft. So it doesn't matter. They kind of have him as a roaming center fielder in that defensive backfield. Great. I would just put him in a place, let him grow, let him develop in that place, let him focus on that position, and then let's see what he can do. Because I think previously he was moved around a lot, and I think that kind of messed with him mentally a little bit. But he's an imposing figure. He can make plays. It's time for him to show that he's worth it and see what he can do.
Doug Haller from The Athletic joining us here on Take the Points, broadcasting live from Casino Arizona Sportsbook. You can follow Doug on X, Twitter. I'm still calling it Twitter forever. At Doug Haller. He does great work covering the sport of football and other things. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit more. But one of the things The Athletic did is they asked the writers for all the teams all across the NFL, what's the one kind of burning question for each team? They asked you, is Kyler Murray that guy? And you mentioned that a year ago, we were talking about the Murray extension a year ago. Two-part question for you, Doug. What have we learned about Kyler Murray in that year since he signed the extension? And the follow-up to my own question, which is great journalism here, is when do we see this guy on the field?
See, that's the thing, Mike. We haven't learned much of anything. He signed the deal last year, was a disaster, and now that was Kyler's fault because Hop was out, DeAndre Hopkins is out with the suspension for the first 6 games. The offensive line was in shambles the entire year. He just didn't have many things going for him, much momentum on that offense. Some of it was of his own doing. Some of it was the play calling, I think, with Cliff Kingsbury. But it got to the point where they got DeAndre Hopkins back, and toward the end of the year, I think I remember writing this, the last month of the season is really going to be big for Kyler Murray to kind of put this, terrible start of the season behind him and show everybody that he is, worth the money he got, and that he's going to be, a top 10 quarterback, and lift the franchise like he did previously. And we just didn't get that. And then he got hurt, and since then, it's been a big question mark. Everyone wants to know when he's going to come back. I don't have an answer to that. The Cardinals are keeping it pretty quiet, and there's really no reason for them to publicly disclose a timeline. It's to their advantage to keep people guessing. But this year is huge for Kyler. With the Cardinals, not much is expected. They have the limited expectations. If they, somehow, they have the Houston Texans pick, so if they can get in, within the first 3 or 4 picks, with Caleb Williams out there, it's going to be a storyline this year. I don't know if it's going to be by week 5, week 6, week 8, the last month of the season, but that will be a storyline if the Cardinals, perform like everyone's expecting them to do, and Kyler would get back, slow to recover, and maybe doesn't have the year. What do they do? Is he their future, or is it time maybe to look elsewhere? There's money involved, obviously, but that's going to be a huge storyline this year, I think.
You know, Doug, you brought it up. You opened the door to talk a little college football here. We love college football. We can't wait until it's on the TVs here 4 weeks from now at Casino Arizona at the Sportsbook. You mentioned Caleb Williams, who is still playing for a team that is still in the Pac-12. But let's take a look and pivot over there, Doug. And what do you, somebody who has covered the teams in this conference for a long time, what do you make of the most recent news that we saw with Colorado returning to the Big 12 and leaving the Pac-12 to figure out what their future is going to look like?
Well, what does it say that when Colorado leaves your conference and that's viewed as maybe the straw that broke the camel's back? I mean, what does that say when Colorado, of all teams, a team that has never really a threat, has struggled throughout its stay in the Pac-12 for just about its entire existence? What does it say when they leave and everyone wonders if their Pac-12 is going to survive? Obviously, they can be replaced. San Diego State, SMU, and there's not much of a drop off. Maybe an improvement if it's San Diego State, but it just shows the instability of the conference. And I don't understand why they keep learning the same lesson, or why they don't keep learning learning from the lesson. Why it keeps happening over and over again? Why are they caught off guard when UCLA and USC leave? It seems like they were caught off again where Colorado left. George Kliavkoff at Pac-12 Media Day made it sound like they were all united, and then Colorado leaves a week later. It's just a bad look for them. And then they have to vote whether the presidents are willing to expand. I mean, these are all things that should have been done a long time ago. Yeah. It would seem. So I just don't get. The Pac-12 has always been elitist is a strong word, but they very they align themselves with the academic institutions on the West Coast. I know Arizona State, Michael Crow, the president there, has always felt that that Arizona State was better aligned with the Pac-12. You're going to have to start being proactive instead of reactive. And it seems like the Pac-12 has been playing defense throughout this entire thing, and it's cost them. It really has. So, it'll be interesting to see what Arizona does. I think they're probably the school that could really, make this crumble even more if they decide to join the Big 12. And there's questions about whether they would split from Arizona State. But, you would just think, like, when are they going to learn the lesson and realize, like, hey, we have got to, think for the future of the conference and be aggressive instead of being reactive all the time.
Couple more minutes with Doug Holler from The Athletic. And Doug, I want to ask you just what you were talking about right there, but I'm going to ask it as Doug the fan, not Doug the journalist. ASU, U of A, do they need to stay together? Well, that means, hold out and wait for what happens here with the Pac-12, or let's say the Big 12 comes knocking and that's an option. Do they have to stay together, or the fan, is it okay if they split up in your mind?
Well, I look at it this way. One of the biggest days in the state of Arizona is that football game every year. It doesn't matter what the records are. I know that's a cliche. There's a lot of enthusiasm behind that game. And if they were in different conferences, I think that would chip away at that a little bit. I think back to, it would have been 2014 in Tucson when both Arizona and Arizona State, now granted it was a rare occurrence, but they played a game on an afternoon in Tucson. The winner won the South with the Pac-12 South on the line. And it was tremendous. It was great. Now, that doesn't happen often, obviously. But if they're in different conferences, you don't get that. There was always pride about knocking somebody down a notch or two. I think if they went different ways, the rivalry would continue. We've seen that across the country, Florida State, Iowa State. There are rivalries that have continued. At the same time, though, there have been rivalries that haven't continued because they're in different conferences and there's bad blood that over one left. But I think the two schools understand the importance of it, and I think they understand that some years it's the only thing that they really have going for them for fans to look forward to. So I think they would continue it. I think the rivalry would diminish if they were in different conferences. It would still survive, though. To answer your question, do they have to stay together? No, I don't think they do. I think the Arizona Board of Regents would try to get them to stay, but I think in the state of college football, it's pretty much every man for themselves.
Last question for you, Doug. Appreciate you coming on and appreciate your time. The media poll came out last week with ASU picked at 10. Were you satisfied with ASU at 10? Do you think they were maybe too low or even too high? I mean, 10's pretty low anyways, but just kind of your thoughts about the media poll.
Well, I think Kenny Dillingham said it best. I mean, he kind of understood, like, new coach, a complete roster overhaul. For anybody to say that I think they know what to expect from Arizona State, I think is probably fooling themselves, because transfers, you never know. I mean, some of them will hit, some of them that you think that you expect to make an impact will not. You just never know. I think they were picked probably where they should be. It wouldn't surprise me if they overachieve a little bit, because I think they have 8 home games, so the schedule kind of unfolds for them in a favorable way. But to start off where we are, where they were last year, all the turnover, everything in place, I think that's a pretty good starting point for them.
For our listeners, just a testament to the versatility of our guest is the fact that we've talked football with you this entire segment, and you've done a tremendous job for a long time writing about football here in the state of Arizona. But, Doug, I want to ask you about a piece that you wrote for The Athletic where you recently stepped off of the field and you talked about something very serious that shocked the sports world, that shocked the world earlier this week, the news of Bronny James collapsing. And you penned a piece on The Athletic looking into some of these heart issues that we've seen with athletes. Just for our listeners, what did you learn in writing that piece about, obviously a very serious issue that involves something much bigger than sports itself?
Yeah, well, whenever something like that happens, and this week I kind of pegged it toward the 30-year anniversary. Seems like the wrong word to say, but it's been 30 years since Reggie Lewis, the Boston Celtics star, collapsed and died of a heart issue. Whenever something like this happens, we saw this with Damar Hamlin, now with Bronny James, it raises great awareness, a lot of conspiracy theories about why this happens. And, the doctors I talked to, and I talked to some of the leading experts on this, said it is rare, but at the same time they said that there's a lot of things that they don't know yet. The thing that I found most interesting is that it seems to happen more with black athletes, and I'm not sure why. And also it seems to have the numbers are that it seems to happen in sports of basketball, football, and soccer a little bit more. So does that mean like sudden burst of adrenaline one way or explosion one way? Does that contribute to it? They don't know the answers to those questions, so they're still doing a lot of studies on that. But it's scary when you think of these guys being, the elite athletes, well conditioned, and they collapse. Why does that happen? And sudden cardiac arrest is not anything new. It was here before COVID. There have been tests about whether COVID is a contributor to this. That's been, there are different studies on that. And the people I talked to didn't think there was a strong correlation, but other people I know think there are. So it's just one of those things that draws a lot of attention. And of course, when it's Bronny James, the son of LeBron James, I think that's even magnified even more. But definitely an interesting topic for something like this to happen. To set 2 high-profile people, Damar Hamlin, Bronny James, within 7 months, definitely got a lot of people's attention.
He's Doug Haller, senior writer for The Athletic. Doug, thanks so much for your time today. We appreciate it, and we'll be following your coverage of the Cardinals as camp continues. Thanks so much, Doug.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Doug Haller, great job, and always appreciate his time coming on with us. We'll step aside here. More to come on the other side. We'll be right back on Fox 910.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Any car dealer in Arizona can compete on price. That's what dealers do. But not many dealers can compete on customer satisfaction. Like Wright Toyota. Make the right choice. Wright Toyota in Scottsdale. Just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard. And online at wrighttoyota.com.
A homeowner just like you.
Hey.
Decides to fix his roof.
Okay.
He backs up his truck.
ties one end of the rope to the bumper and the other to himself.
Smart.
He's working on the backside of the roof until...
What? Wait, no.
Yes, Dad was in tow.
Ooh, was he hurt?
A few bruises and his pride.
Save yourself with State 48 Roofing, offering maintenance, repairs, and replacements. Of course, licensed, insured, and bonded. From residential to commercial. State48roofing.com.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandito Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave in the highlands of Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado features a unique oxygenation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. It's why they won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone. Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant in all 7 Barrio Queen locations. Go to elbanditoyankee.com and break out the Bandito with the official tequila of game day.
Tune in Mondays from 1 to 4 as Rockin' Manooch with Jimmy B broadcasts live from the CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. The Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona is sports fans' paradise. That's the guys live every Monday from CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona.
Golfers, swing into Van's Golf Shops. We've been serving golfers since 1963. Let us help you find the hottest gear from bags, balls, shoes, and apparel. All in stock at the best prices. Come in and test drive the latest arrivals from Titleist, TaylorMade, Callaway, Ping, and more. While you're there, get custom fit by one of our golf experts. Van's Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Shop us in store or online at vansgolfshops.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings, bone and breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless.
Like I said, if I could turn your mic off right now, I would.
Chevy dealers today during the Chevy Summer Drive going on now. New inventory is arriving daily. Don't miss your chance for some great deals this summer. See your Valley Chevy dealers for the best deals and the best selection during the Chevy Summer Drive today.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa"?
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Only iHeartRadio gives you access to all of your favorite radio stations.
The Rob Ryan Show. It's the Woody Show. It's Elliot in the morning.
All of the once-in-a-lifetime events.
iHeartRadio Music Festival, yeah!
All of the best free curated playlists, the best bands, all the great podcasts for every interest. The stuff they don't want you to know. All of the mind-blowing contests.
$20,000.
Awesome. All your favorite superstars.
This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters.
Best of all, it doesn't cost a thing. Download the absolutely free iHeartRadio app now.
Goodbye. Thanks again to Doug Holler for joining us in our last segment. Appreciate him. Probably on his way out to Glendale for open practice today at the stadium. But good of him to make some time for us. All right, guys.
Kyler Murray will address the media this afternoon, by the way.
Really?
As we continue our look around the country, Big 12 is up next, and they're in the news for a lot of reasons. But like we said with the Pac-12, they're kind of set. They've got 14 teams now, so you'll probably want to check your online resources to find out who's in the conference. But interestingly, the two teams that are on their way out, Texas and Oklahoma, are 1 and 3 in the media poll that was just released, and Kansas State in between them. Newcomers that I think is fascinating. You've got BYU in there. You've got UCF in there. That's Central Florida. And
Former
Cincinnati.
national champions.
Cincinnati in there as well. So
Houston.
You've got and Houston. So you've got some teams kind of, in and out. So this is certainly a conference in the state of flux. So we're not going to have the time, of course, to go through all 14 teams. But Jackson, we'll start with you. When you look at this Big 12 conference, just a couple teams you're keeping an eye on when you look at their win totals.
Win total wise, 7.5 wins for Texas Tech. I think I love this team. They got Tyler Shuck coming back, obviously an Arizona product. They've got a ton I believe 18 out of 22 starters are seniors, grad transfers, or 6-year super seniors, and then the other 4 are juniors. I really like this team. They've been together for a while. You finally got your quarterback. Last year, Donovan Smith and Tyler Shuck were kind of butting heads. Donovan Smith transfers to actually Houston, and they'll play this year too. But I think Texas Tech is a team I got circled on my calendar. Kansas State, yeah, they're towards the top, but I think that they lost a ton of guys to the NFL draft. But I would have to say
specifically
Texas
Adrian
Tech.
Martinez, Deuce Vaughn. I mean, those were the 2 guys that really carried.
Well, they got Will Howard, which is good at quarterback, but yeah, him, and then defensively Felix Aduma, I believe, and then they've had Julius Brents, the cornerback, that both went in the first round last year. So for me, Gross, Texas Tech.
Look, I mean, maybe I'm going chalk here, but I mean, if Quentin Ewers can stay healthy, Texas is absolutely the team to beat here. Like Oklahoma, everything fell apart for them last year in terms of the best contender to knock off Texas in terms of talent. Everything fell apart for them. Kansas State, a team that has been really good for years in this conference, is Oklahoma State. They're in a state of flux because Spencer Sanders, after like 37 straight years at quarterback there, he's transferred and he's on the way out. Look, I really think that this is Texas's a road game at Alabama. That's how they start the season. We're going to know how good that team is immediately. I mean, that was game day last year. That was a monster, matchup in Austin. It goes to Tuscaloosa, road game at Alabama. That's where they start. They're also on the road at TCU, but I think that's a TCU team that we saw here in the Fiesta Bowl that got boat raced in the national championship, that is completely rebuilt. They lost a lot of guys, whether it be to the draft or to transfer. This is Texas's. And I mean, how many times have we said this over the years, Gross, in terms of talent-wise and in terms of, the marquee as well, but this is Texas's conference to lose this year.
I got my eye on 2 teams. One, a stalwart of the Big 12, Oklahoma State. I think they've got a huge chip on their shoulder this year with Oklahoma and Texas, but primarily Oklahoma leaving Oklahoma State behind. And so I think they've got a huge chip on their shoulder. Their win total sits at 6. I like them at over that.
Really?
I really do. A team that we're going to see here in Tempe early in the season, so we'll get a good sense of where they are.
So that's a win for them. That's a win for Oklahoma State.
Well, I don't know, man. You come from Oklahoma, you got certain, but it's going to be hot here. I don't know. Night game, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I keep an eye on Oklahoma State and 6. I like them over. And then the other team, guys, that I really BYU. I mean, you look at a team that's on. If there's a worse big-time college football program defense than BYU last year, I'd like to see it. And you go into a conference where, you guys know this, you turn the TV on when the games are halfway over or 3/4 of the way through, and you're like, holy smokes, the score is 48-42 right now, and we've got 12 minutes of football left to play. It's going to be crazy to see some of the games that the Cougars are involved with. I also think that in their favor, when you're used to playing in the Big 12 and then you got to travel to Provo, Utah, and we've heard Minuch say that, it's a tough place to go play, even in easy years when they're down. So it's going to be an interesting thing. I'm going to go the under 5.5 on BYU, though, because I think it's a tough transition. The other thing that I hate about these conference realignments, you look at the BYU schedule, they're not playing Utah. They're not playing Utah State this year. I think that sucks when you look at what realignment's doing. But when you're in a 14-team conference and you're going to take their money, you got to be willing to sacrifice something. BYU said, you know what? Sorry, Utah State. Love our history. We're not going to do it, though. We're out. We're gone. We're going to the Big 12. Maybe we'll catch you sometime in the future.
So when you look at the odds to win the Big 12 conference, Texas is the favorite at plus 105.
It's good.
Followed by Oklahoma at plus 380. Kansas at plus 500. And then my pick was Texas Tech at plus 1,100. Oklahoma State, a team you mentioned, at plus 5,000.
I don't think they're going to win it, but I think they'll go over 6 wins.
Yeah, 6 is the over-under for them. There are definitely some winnable games. I'm already looking at that one here in Tempe, unfortunately, for me as a Sun Devil. But I think Oklahoma State can get in terms of the over-under. In terms of winning the conference, I do not like to change.
No, they're not going to win the conference, but you're just looking at the win total. So I'll lock that down, and you guys can call me on it later.
I love the Texas over, by the way. I'm all about that one.
Well, what's their over/under? Texas
9.5 is what I'm looking at here. 9.5.
That's a team that's interesting because you mentioned if Quinn Ewers can stay healthy. If he's healthy during that Bama game, you could argue they probably would have won that game.
If you bet the over right now at 9.5 and they win at Alabama, boy, are you feeling really good about that ticket.
Here's the thing.
But as I said, then you also wonder too, because in later games in November, Texas struggles.
Yeah. Here's the thing for me with Texas. And everything you guys just said is actually right. I need to see it on a sustainable basis, like
Yes.
at a year in and year out. Because how many times have we said, man, this is such a talented team. You look at this roster, it's such a good roster, and then they disappoint you. So if I'm a Texas fan, or if I'm looking at Texas 9.5, I don't know how comfortable I am in that. I mean, when you think about it, yeah, on paper it makes sense, but your gut tells you they've disappointed me in the past, and I need to see this over and over again.
The only thing I worry about with Texas is, they got A.D. Mitchell, who's a wide receiver from Georgia, which is good, but they lose Bijan Robinson and you lose Roschon Johnson, your two running backs you've had for the last 3 years. So are they going to still run the ball as effective as they did with Bijan? We'll find out.
And you look at everything that was written and said and what we know about Bijan Robinson. Obviously, on the field, you can see it, but it's the intangibles that guy brought to the team from a leadership standpoint. Do you replace that easily? You don't. So hopefully there's people in that locker room that step up. Speaking of stepping up, we're going to step aside. We hope to catch up with our good friend Casey from the Sportsbook here at Casino Arizona on the other side. We'll be right back. Fox Sports 9.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Tune in Mondays from 1 to 4 as Rockin' Minuch with Jimmy D broadcasts live from the CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. The Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona is sports fans' paradise. That's the guys live every Monday from CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona.
Any car dealer in Arizona can compete on price. That's what dealers do, but not many dealers can compete on customer satisfaction. Like Wright Toyota. Make the right choice. Wright Toyota in Scottsdale, just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard, and online at wrighttoyota.com.
I'm attorney Kevin Rowe, here to tell you the biggest thing I've learned about insurance companies over the years, and it's really simple. They don't care about you. That's it. Insurance companies are publicly traded companies who have an obligation to their shareholders to deliver profits. They have teams of investigators, adjusters, and lawyers all working against you from the moment you call them, and they want to pay you as little as possible for your injuries. Hurt in a wreck? Don't be a victim of the insurance companies. Call Lerner & Rowe today.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
What's up, guys? Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. Hashtag sexy roof status. At State 48 Roofing, we are family owned and operated, born and raised in Arizona. We'd love to give back to our schools and community. Contact us at state48roofing.com.
Holiday bills bringing you down? Global Capital makes it easier for you. Start 2023 on the right track. Call professionals at GC Global Capital, 480-397-9300 to see if their debt consolidation home loan program can benefit you. They save their clients tons of cash each month with their valuable refinancing programs. Your home is your most valuable asset. Why work with anyone else? Call GC Global Capital, 480-397-9300. GC Global Capital, your gift for the holidays. GC Global Capital is an Arizona licensed mortgage broker in MLS 1091187. License CB 0924983 and equal opportunity lender.
Looking for a change in your career? All City Towing is searching for motivated teammates to join their team. Current openings now available in customer service, tow truck operators, yard management, facilities maintenance, and dispatch. Apply online at allcitytowing.com/careers or call 480-833-7278.
Join Rockin' Minuch with Jimmy D Thursdays at one of the 5 Valley Twin Peaks locations. The guys broadcast live from 1 to 5 Valley locations. And tune in at 2:45 for Peaks Picks, your chance to win a Twin Peaks man card. It's Guys Live every Thursday at Twin Peaks.
It's the wine
betting, the Hall of Fame game.
Going out at the spa. The Smoking Sunsets at dinner. It's the escape you crave, and it's closer than you think. Talking Stick Resort's Summer Playcation Package. Starting at $139 a night with no resort fee for Arizona residents. Exclusive spa specials and 20
I'm good.
slot play. Plus, enjoy great deals inside the Talking Stick Entertainment District, including Top Golf, Talking Stick Golf Club, Octane Raceway, and more. Summer Playcation, May 8th to September 15th at Talking Stick Resort. Turn it on. See your Valley Chevy dealers today during the Chevy Summer Drive going on now. New inventory is arriving daily. Don't miss your chance for some great deals this summer. See
It actually matters.
dealers for the best deals and the best selection during the Chevy Summer Drive today.
I'm Byron Brown, the women's national team. Come up on Tuesday, I think.
I'm straight to the point. I'll answer your call.
I should look at the damn doc.
Byron Brown, the anti-liar lawyer. Call 1-800-ANTI-LIAR.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
Those stomach issues ruined your birthday.
You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa.
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at Connect to Your Heart.
Say that again, Gross.
That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Fox.
Absolutely. Jax, what's going on today, man? You made which.
Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
You're live.
Rolling along on a Saturday. No Casey yet. That's all right.
He's working. He's sitting at the sportsbook. He's
Whoa,
at the computer.
what could be more important? We'll go get
putting
him.
in odds right now. He's probably changing the odds. He's keeping up.
He's prepping for our segment. Let's do this, guys. Let's revisit a small portion of our conversation with Doug Holler, and we'll get to Casey in our final segment of the show. Look, there's two things kind of at play right now for the Diamondbacks, for the Cardinals as this season unfolds. And the one that I want to talk about here is that Budda Baker situation. Generally speaking, I'm not a big fan, and I don't understand why you would, if you're a front office, just in general, not specific to the Cardinals, entertain adjusting a contract with 2 years remaining, right? Because typically these contracts are 4 or 5 years long, and you would expect that, you'd want to see a guy play out the majority of it before you deal with it. I am okay, on the one hand, dealing with Budda now. You have the money, you have the flexibility. You don't have a lot going on right now if you're the Arizona Cardinals, let's be honest. So to deal with Budda, to have him on the sideline with that big smile, the infectious attitude, and what he means to the team, I think is entirely appropriate. My concern with doing the Budda Baker deal with 2 years remaining is that the next guy, whoever he is going to expect it when his time is up. But I don't know, like on this roster right now, there's no other Budda Baker, says Captain Obvious, right? So if I'm Michael Bidwell, because it's really his decision, no matter what you hear about the general manager, Michael Bidwell would say, hey, I'm okay doing it with Budda. You're not Budda Baker. But, Jackson, your thoughts on getting this deal done, and it's not a new contract. It's an adjustment of the existing contract for Budda Baker.
Yeah, and it's been back-to-back years where we saw with Kyler and potentially holding out, wanting an extension, and then now Budda Baker. I think Budda Baker's situation is so much more different because of how, like you said, the impact and the leadership he has on this franchise. I think Imani Ossenfort was the GM last year with Kyler Murray. I don't think that deal gets down. I don't think it gets done because I think Steve Keim kind of gave in. And the reason why they're in the situation they're in right now is because of Steve Keim. So, yeah, Budda Baker, I don't see, like you mentioned, if someone else wants to go and bargain for a new contract, show me the all-pros they have. Show me the impact they've had on this roster and on not only this roster, but the community in the Valley. You can see Budda Baker always everywhere helping out, too. So,
Bauer, is he the face of the franchise right now?
I mean, Kyler Murray's the face of the franchise for better or for worse. He's the quarterback. He's the former #1 pick on the team. If we are to do the summer sports talk radio, and I'm not going Mount Rushmore, guys. I'm going a different direction. But if you're going to, hey, future Hall of Famers on this team, that's pretty much the only name that you can think of right now. I'm sorry if I'm spacing out anybody doing a disservice. If we had this conversation last year, J.J. Watt is a surefire Hall of Famer. Sure. DeAndre Hopkins, he's put together an impressive career. But right now, the guys on this team right now, Budda Baker is a potential Hall of Famer if he continues on the career path he's had. He stays healthy. I mean, this is a guy who, over the course of his career, has proven to be not just in terms of the impact on the field, but as a leader, to exactly what you're talking about, Jackson, is as a leader, and even more so now that you don't have a Chandler Jones, you don't have a J.J. Watt, you don't have another leader on this defense. This is Budda's team. There's no Patrick Peterson playing next to him. This is his defense, and he is the best player on this team.
Yeah.
But Kyler Murray's still the quarterback. He's still, for better or for worse, he's still the face of the franchise.
And all the reports coming out of camp for Kyler are positive, but you have to take that for what it's worth. Doesn't matter till he's actually on the field and we're able to see him. Is he recovered from the knee injury, and is he able to get back to the Kyler before the contract? But you like to hear positive news as opposed to, I guess, the opposite. But no, you're right. I mean, the quarterback's always going to be the face of the franchise, particularly a guy who's paid the way he's paid. So I think that's fair. I think the other story, and Jackson and I were talking about this before the show, that we're going to have to keep an eye on, and it's reality. We're going to do something on the show to keep us locked in on it, is the Houston Texans. Because if you are a true Arizona Cardinals fan, the reality is, I think we all agree, this team is not going to be very good this year. You see 4.5 as a win total for them. I could seriously have a conversation about the under, right? So we're fine with that. But importantly, and coupled with that, is what do the Houston Texans do this year? Because if you're a Cardinals fan, you are rooting for the Texans to lose every time they take the field.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you want that, whether you're going with Harrison Jr. and Caleb Williams, the way that a lot of mock drafts are trying to draw this up, at the very least, you want the most draft capital out of that. You saw the Chicago Bears trade out of the number 1 pick this year, move all the way down into double digits and get draft capital, draft value. This is a football team that needs not picks. They need those picks to turn into players, and the more players you can get in there, well, again, it's just a math problem. The more picks you have, the more possibility, the more draft capital you have, the more chances you have to land on a player that can make an impact on this team. And this is a team, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, that needs a lot more impact players moving forward, because it's going to be a long season. And I know we started talking about Buddha. That's one of the only things really going into the season I feel like we can count on, that we know what we're going to get from the entire Cardinals football team, is we know that Buddha, number 3, after a couple years ago changing, but that number 3 is going to absolutely bring the heat and put a hat on somebody every play.
And walking into the Sportsbook here at Casino Arizona, went over to see Jack and the team at the window, and they've got the sheets, Jackson, right next to the window with NFL regular season win totals, and the Arizona Cardinals, not surprisingly, at lowest in the National Football League at 4.5.
Oh, man.
The Houston Texans right now at 6.5. They're at 6.5 with a bunch of other teams like the Colts, like the Buccaneers, like the Washington, whatever they're going to be named. And so, like I said, we're going to keep an eye on that. And Jackson, it's important. Cardinal fans want that Texans team to be well under 6.5.
Yeah, I think the reason why the Texans are at 6.5 is because of how bad their division is, right?
Agreed.
So it just depends on how the Titans turn out with their quarterback situation. Tannehill, Malik Willis, and Will Levis. The Colts, they got Anthony Richardson, and then you got the Jaguars. The Jaguars are going to be dominant, but it's just going to depend on how the other teams rock. 3 wins for the Texans, but again, worst case scenario, the Cardinals end up with the number 1 pick and the Texans end up with 3, 4, even 5. You still got 2 picks in the top 5. Even in the 2 picks in the top 10, when it's all said and done, that's a pretty good scenario for the Arizona Cardinals.
Circle November the 19th right now, because the Houston Texans play at the stadium out in Glendale against the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, Ty. Let's go, Ty.
I can't imagine which broadcast crew CBS is going to send in for that one. It's going to probably, you got your top team, and then you got your next team. It's going to be guys that are like, look, you're on a show me deal for CBS. Can you really do TV?
No Jim Nance or Tony Romo. They're not making the fly down here. Come on.
Gracious.
Jackson is way too young to remember this. And Bauer, I don't know if you remember it.
There's actually a chance Jackson calls the game for that.
There was a time way back when NBC did a game with no announcers. I know the Dolphins were part of it. I can't remember who they played. This might be the game that they redo that.
I'll do it.
They might just be like, hey, we're going to put the feed up there. You guys just take it away. But November 19th, the Texans and the Cardinals, lots of subplots related to the 2024 NFL draft when that one kicks off.
I wanted to go back to the Buda Baker talk and how how he said Cowher's the face of the franchise, and Buda Baker being not a quarterback, gets a lot of impact and stuff like that. I mean, I think about who was the last person in this franchise that wasn't a quarterback that made such a big impact like Buda's making is Larry Fitzgerald.
That was it.
So, I mean, Buda's one of those guys like Fitzgerald where you were drafted as a Cardinal. You do anything you can to make him happy to keep him as a Cardinal
100%.
Without a doubt.
No, there's no question about that. I couldn't agree with you more on that one. All right, looking at the clock, it's time for our final segment of the day. One of us is going to walk over to the counter there and drag Casey over here because we've got to do our weekly picks and wrap up today's show. That's coming up next on Fox Sports 910.
Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app. This is The Odd Couple with Chris Broussard and Rob Parker.
I'm here to tell you that it won't be long, and I'm going to give it 25 years, that soccer and baseball will overthrow the NFL and become the biggest things in this country.
With Chris Broussard and Rob Parker. Monday at 4 on your smart speaker. Say play Fox Sports 910.
Any car dealer in Arizona can compete on price. That's what dealers do. But not many dealers can compete on customer satisfaction. Like Wright Toyota. Make the right choice. Wright Toyota in Scottsdale. Just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright.
The game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks is always adding exciting cocktails to the menu, like the expertly balanced Sincoro Holiday Margarita. Try it at your local lodge today.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandito Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave in the highlands of Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado features a unique oxygenation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. It's why they won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone. Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant in all 7 Barrio Queen locations. Go to elbanditoyankee.com and break out the Bandito with the official tequila of game day.
Tune in Mondays from 1 to 4 as Rockin' Minuch with Jimmy B broadcasts live from the CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. The Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona is sports fans' paradise. That's the guys, live every Monday from CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona.
With every other attorney out there claiming to be the right attorney for you, it's time we look at the facts. Lerner & Rowe has helped over 150,000 injured people receive compensation for their injuries. We've recovered billions of dollars, with over $1 billion recovered in the last 5 years alone. We have over 50 attorneys and over 400 legal professionals and the resources to fight for you. The reality is, there's Lerner & Rowe, then there's everybody else. Interact, need a check?
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Shopping for a mortgage? Big banks can be a big hassle. Call GC Global Capital and work with a local team of mortgage experts for great rates and lower fees, more options, and faster closings. Don't let your dream home purchase turn into a nightmare. Call the professionals at GC Global Capital, 480-397-9300. GC Global Capital, your local mortgage professionals.
GC Global Capital is an Arizona licensed mortgage broker. NMLS 1091187. License NB 0924983. An equal opportunity lender.
See your Valley Chevy dealers today during the Chevy Summer Drive going on now. New inventory is arriving daily. Don't miss your chance for some great deals this summer. See your Valley Chevy dealers for the best deals and the best selection during the Chevy Summer Drive today.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Derek Jeter as the pinch hitter for your baseball team.
Jeter, you're in. We need a home run.
I'll give it a try. I've swung a bat once or twice.
That's out of here. Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
It's summer at Starbucks, where the brightest drinks and the funnest flavors are all yours for the sipping. So, whether you need to beat the heat, beat the crowds, or just take a beat, refreshing favorites are a tap away with the Starbucks app.
Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Final segment of the day. Regular listeners know that's when we welcome in from the CAZ Sportsbook our good friend Casey.
How's it going, guys? Good to be here.
What's up? Casey, good to see you. And we're going to, because timing is such, we're going to jump right into our picks. That way we don't have to get off the radio and have the picks undone. So why don't we jump into, guys, our picks of the week?
All right, well, we're going to start things off. Casey, we'll start off with you. Let you do the honors a little bit later today, 5:10 first pitch. At Chase Field, you got the Arizona Diamondbacks hosting the Mariners, the struggling, reeling unfortunately streaking in the wrong way, Arizona Diamondbacks, and you got the Mariners got the win last night. What do you think about that game this afternoon or this evening, if you will?
This afternoon, I'm actually going to go with the under the 9.5. The total in the game. I know both of the ERAs for both of the pitchers have been pretty bad, but let's fade the public a little bit. Let's go under.
Ooh. All right. I'm going to go D-backs. I think they bounce back here. They need a win. Let's go Diamondbacks.
You know, you mentioned those probable pitchers last night. Was right off the bat, the Mariners get 4 runs early. You got Brandon Pfaadt taking the bump again for the Arizona Diamondbacks, looking for his first win of the season. You mentioned those ERAs. He's at 8.81. Brian Wu, 4.91. No surprise. As always, you guys always you can just type it in. I got the D-backs, as I do for any game involving the D-backs.
Whenever we bring on an expert, it's like, okay, I got to go the way the expert goes.
Yeah.
But you just gave me numbers that are off the chart.
Sorry,
Casey. Jackson, Michael, I'm taking the over. Sorry, got to do it.
You're going the
Goes
over. All right.
Woo! Did you see that number? 4.5.
Did you just break out a Ric Flair woo?
No, I did the
Ric Flair woo.
starting picture for Seattle.
I am afraid you're going to put me in the figure 4 leg lock right now.
No.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That is his name.
Over.
All right, Jackson, do we have 2 football games? One football and the other one sort of football?
Yeah, we got American football and European football. We got the Hall of Fame
Great
game
accent.
on
Named it.
Thursday. NFL is back, kind of.
Exhibition.
Preseason football. Jets versus the Browns. Browns 1.5-point favorite. The over-under, high over-under here at 32.5, Casey. High over-under. I'm just kidding. But who do you like in this matchup, Browns, Jets?
Crazy. I'm going under the 32.
Wow. Under. I'm going Browns because I think the Browns have better backups than the Jets.
A home field advantage.
Similar to how I go the D-backs with every single pick, there's no way with any good conscience, and I understand he's not going to play more than 12 seconds of the game, but there's no way in good conscience a Chicago Bears fan and an upstanding citizen like myself can go with Karen Rodgers, that scumbag. Go Browns. Let's go, dog pound.
What I always try to do when we have an expert on the radio show with us is agree with the expert. So I'm going the under on the game.
Well, you just went the opposite. Wait a second. I'm following along here, Gross.
I like that, though. Karen Rodgers. Never heard that before. I always refer to him as Aaron Frogers.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's also Throw Rogan. There's Chucker Carlson. There's a lot of nicknames for that piece of garbage.
I haven't heard the Karen Rodgers since last week. So, all right, last game that we're picking.
Oh, sorry. USA at the football, women's versus Portugal. A must-win for USA. A must-win for USA. If they lose this game, they are out. If they draw, I believe they get into the knockout. They are a 1.5 goal favorite. Over-under sits at 2.5. Casey, what do you like in this one?
I'm going to go USA in this game over Portugal. They got to get back on track. Netherlands
USA
was the toughest group
minus
in that thing.
1.5. You like the line?
Yeah, I'll take that. Take a minus.
All right.
The 1.5. Win by 2.
I'm going to go over. I think they get over 2.5 goals, but 1.5, it's a lot. So
I'm going to agree with Casey again. And I would have done that even if I would have went first on that one. It's a must-win situation. A lot of people talking about this USA team for a lot of not good reasons.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. 1.5 doesn't bother me. Lock it in.
If they end up losing, the U.S. is going to need a lot of help. Portugal would advance. The women's national team would need Netherlands to lose. And then you'd get into the goal advantage difference and all that stuff. And, well, I'm trying to sound like some sort of soccer whiz kid over here. I'm just reading this off of a paragraph on a website on the internet. Guys, it's soccer. Give me the under. I'm taking the under in literally every soccer game we will ever pick on this show.
All right, Casey, before we let you go here, our Twitter poll questions of the week from last week, we're just getting ready to wrap those up at Fox 910 Saturday. We did 2 of them. Over-under for the Arizona Wildcats sits at 4.5. Casey, are you going over or under 4.5 for wins for the Wildcats this year?
I'm going to go with Patriots West. I'm going to go over with Jackson on this one.
Man. I would have been good with that
Patriots
until you said
West.
with Jackson. You're enabling his bad behavior on our radio show.
All right, it was good to be right, Gross.
Real quickly before we let you tell us what's going on here at the Sportsbook, ASU at 4.5 as well. What do you think the Devils are going to do?
Let's go,
Over
Devils.
or under 4.5 wins?
Everybody's going over, so I'll go under on that one. Everybody's been betting over on
Listen to
ASU.
Casey fading the public again, man.
That's what you got to do, especially football season.
That's why we bring the professionals on this radio
Hey,
show.
he's
All
a
right,
pro. He's fading the Joes.
Casey, what's going on here at the Sportsbook? As we tell every week, what did I say? We've got 28 days, Jack, until football starts for real. You starting to see a little bit more interest in football with the guys that are coming in here?
Yeah, definitely starting to see a lot more interest. We've got people coming in now looking for, NFL MVPs, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, things like that. We're always open 8 to 11 daily, whether it's here or Talking Stick, and kiosks are open 24/7. So come on in, get as much action down as you want.
Good stuff. Great team out here at the CAZ Sportsbook. Casey, Jack, always a great host for us every Saturday. Casey, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you again next Saturday.
Sounds good.
All right,
Thanks a lot,
fellas,
guys.
about ready to wrap up today's show. Wow, man, we moved along pretty quickly here as we're going. But
2 minutes.
As I said, Casey enabling you. Everybody, this 4.5 over is going to start to take off and get legs for the Wildcats.
I'm telling you, it's something about having a quarterback in a system for his year 2 that that just draws me towards Arizona. If you got a good quarterback in the Pac-12, they got good defense. Hey, Jed Fish is a defensive guy himself. I like Arizona, man. I've been saying it for a while. I'm going to stick to it.
You're on your way to the stadium for tonight's second game of the 3-game weekend set.
Yes, sir.
Between the visiting Mariners
You guys
and
in
the
Star Wars
Diamondbacks.
night? Star Wars night tonight. We got the Tatooine Haboob Snow Globe.
What do you
brought to
wear?
you by Cox. I will be. I usually go with some sort of Jedi get up.
Ooh.
Do you pick your own gear, or do they dress you when you get to the stadium?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both.
Does it have to be approved when you go out? You could just roll into the parking lot and then just go out. You have to be approved.
I mean, I do need to know ahead of time a little bit like what direction we're going. So I need to know, like, oh, am I wearing shorts or pants? Do I need a black shirt or white shirt? Like,
what's your guys' favorite Star Wars character?
Well, you seem like a Jar Jar Binks guy to me, Jackson.
I'm an R2-D2 guy till I die.
I won't do it, but I love doing Chewbacca voices, so that's mine.
Can you do a Chewbacca voice? Go for it.
Not right now.
Go, come on now.
I demand that if that sign,
I like Cassian Andor, by the way. I love that show.
if that sign is on that door,
Okay.
about the trade deadline
I'm not doing it.
conversations,
I'm not
you
doing it.
will go into that room
for the program.
You are referencing the sign that I showed you a picture of earlier that
Yes.
I walked by a boardroom, a conference
1
room
minute.
in the ballpark, and it said, trade deadline meetings in progress, do not enter. I am going to pay very important attention to the bottom line that says do not enter.
You will go
I
into
wanna
that
keep my
room.
job.
Slide your phone underneath. Click record. Slide your phone underneath.
You will go into that room,
I guess
and
that's technically not entering.
yeah,
I'm
you will
thinking
tell
that-
us what's going on
I will
because
not, no.
inquiring minds want to know
I'm
with the
sorry.
trade deadline coming up Tuesday afternoon. That's going to about do it for us out here at the CAZ Sportsbook at Casino, Arizona. Thanks again to Mike Axia from CBSSports.com coming on talking D-backs and trade deadline. Our good friend Doug Holler from the Athletics. We got some Cardinals, some ASU talk in. Appreciate both of them. Richie, great job back there in the studio. Appreciate you. And thanks, of course, to everybody out here at the Sportsbook at Casino, Arizona. Loop 101 of McKellips. We're on the way out. Come out and see them. They're open all weekend long. It's nice and cool in here. Great food and drink specials. Coming out and see them. CAZ Sportsbook, Casino, Arizona. Loop 101 of McKellips. Don't forget, Rock and Manuch with Jimmy B, Monday through Friday, 1 to 4 on station for Fowler for Jackson. We'll see you next Saturday.
See ya.